Ever had that feeling? You've got this dream, this thing you feel you have to do.
Oh, yeah.
But just as you get close, or maybe even just as you start, roadblocks just keep popping up.
Absolutely. It feels like the universe is testing you almost.
Right. And our source for this deep dive, it's an excerpt from Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, and it really digs into that. You know, how sometimes we're right there, closest to what we want, and that's exactly when we feel like giving up.
It's such a relatable moment, that point where the path ahead just seems, well, impossible, and going back to what's comfortable feels so tempting.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the focus here is this young shepherd, Santiago. He's out in the fields in Andalusia, pretty simple life.
With a sheep?
With his sheep, exactly.
Yeah.
But he keeps having this dream over and over about finding treasure somewhere near the pyramids in Egypt.
The pyramids. I mean, talk about a powerful symbol. Ancient, mysterious. You can see why that would stick in someone's mind. For Santiago, it feels like more than just a random dream, doesn't it? It's like a whisper.
Yeah, a persistent one. And what's interesting about Santiago, he's not quite your standard shepherd. He can read.
Which is unusual.
Very. He spent time in a seminary. His parents wanted him to be a priest.
Right.
But he had this strong desire to travel, to see the world. That wanderlust that just kind of took over.
That really sets him apart straight away, doesn't it? It shows he's got this curiosity, this broader perspective maybe. It highlights that tension, routine versus something more.
Exactly. So right now in the story, he's planning to sell some wool. That takes him to a village.
Okay.
And there he meets a merchant's daughter. And, well, there's a spark.
The plot thickens.
Right. So now he's got this conflict. Settle down, maybe find love, or keep wandering, follow that pull he feels.
That's such a classic human dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Security versus the unknown, love versus the call of adventure. It's often that kind of internal pull that really kicks off a journey.
Okay, so that's where we are. That's the setup for this deep dive. We're going to look at these first steps Santiago takes, the encounters he has that sort of push him towards this dream.
Yeah, what actually gets him moving?
And maybe more importantly for us, what can we take away from all this about pursuing our own personal legends, as the book calls them?
It's about spotting those key moments, those catalysts, right? The things that shift you from just thinking to, well, actually doing, and maybe recognizing people or signs that help point the way.
So let's start with that dream. It keeps repeating. Treasure, pyramids. What's the significance of it being recurring? What does that suggest about these personal legends?
Well, the repetition itself, it suggests it's not just a passing fancy, It's deeper. Something his subconscious, or maybe the universe, like you said, keeps bringing up. It's demanding attention.
So he needs to do something about it.
Seems like it. And his first real action is deciding to find that old woman in Tarifa, the one who interprets dreams. That's him consciously saying, okay, what is this?
And that meeting. You might expect something, I don't know, profound, mystical.
You might, but it's not quite like that. Her interpretation is actually really simple. She basically says, yep, the dream's about treasure, go to Egypt and find it.
Okay. Seems straightforward enough.
But then she adds the condition. She wants a cut, 1/10 of the treasure if he finds it.
That feels a bit transactional.
It does, yeah. What do you think Coelho's getting at there? Making the first piece of guidance come with a catch.
It is a bit jarring. Maybe it suggests that, taking that first step often involves putting something on the line. A risk, an investment, even if it feels a bit weird. How does Santiago take it?
He's pretty disappointed, actually. Feels maybe a bit ripped off. The advice seems too simple, and the demand, it feels opportunistic. So he basically decides to just forget the whole dream after that.
Wow, okay. So doubt creeps in fast.
It really does, especially when the help you get isn't quite what you pictured, or it asks something of you that feels off.
Right. So, dream on hold. Back to shepherding.
Yeah.
But then something else happens. A chance meeting.
Exactly. He's in the plaza trying to read his book, put the dream out of his mind, and this old man just sits down and starts talking to him.
Okay. Just out of the blue.
Pretty much. And the old man says some really insightful things about the book Santiago's reading, and then he brings up something he calls the world's greatest lie.
Okay. Intrigued. The world's greatest lie. What's that?
According to the old man, it's the belief that at some point we lose control of our lives, that fate just takes over and we can't change things anymore.
Oof, that feels pretty heavy, the idea that you're just powerless.
It's incredibly disempowering, isn't it? And it's a feeling I think many people experience, that sense of resignation, Have you ever felt that? Like you're just on rails?
Oh, for sure. That feeling that your choices don't really matter anymore. But Santiago, he pushes back a bit, doesn't he? Says he chose to be a shepherd.
He does, and the old man seems impressed by that. He sees Santiago still has that sense of agency, and then, bam, the big reveal.
Which is?
The old man says he's Melchizedek, the king of Salem.
Whoa. Okay. So we've gone from a shepherd and an old woman to a mythical king in the middle of a Spanish plaza.
It definitely signals that things are shifting, right? The ordinary rules might be bending a little. It forces Santiago and us to think bigger.
And Melchizedek starts talking about personal legends. What's the gist of that?
He explains it as basically what you've always wanted to accomplish, your true calling, maybe. He says when we're young, we know what it is. We're not afraid to dream. But then as we get older, what he calls a mysterious force starts trying to convince us it's impossible.
That mysterious force. What do you reckon that is? Sounds familiar.
I think it's all that stuff, isn't it? Fear of failure, what other people think, maybe just the comfort of routine, all those voices saying, be realistic. Don't rock the boat.
Yeah, the inner critic and the outer critics, too.
Totally. And Melchizedek adds this interesting layer. He talks about the soul of the world, this idea that everything is connected. And it's nourished by our happiness when we follow our path, but also, interestingly, by our unhappiness and regret when we don't.
That's quite a thought. And then he hits him with that really famous line.
The big one. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
Such a powerful idea. But maybe easily misunderstood. It's not just about wishing, right?
No, not at all. I think the conspiring part is more about recognizing opportunities, seeing the signs, finding the courage to act when those moments appear. It's about aligning yourself, your actions, with that deep desire. Less magic, more active participation.
That makes sense. It's not passive. Okay, so Melchizedek isn't just there for a chat. He makes an offer.
He does. He says he'll help Santiago find the treasure, give him some clues, but there's a price.
Another price.
Yep. This time, it's 1/10 of his flock, his sheep.
Wow. That's significant. That's his livelihood.
It really is. What do you think the point of that exchange is? Why demand the sheep?
It feels like a real test of commitment, doesn't it? Way more than the old woman's request. This is tangible. He has to give up a part of his current reality, his security, to even get the clues for this dream. It makes him put skin in the game.
Definitely. And after Santiago agrees, Melchizedek gives him something else. Urim and Thummim.
Right, the stones. One black, one white. What's their purpose?
They're meant to help him read omens, interpret signs along the way. But Melchizedek is clear. Ask simple, objective questions. Yes or no questions. They're tools, maybe symbols for intuition.
Like training wheels for reading the world's signs.
Maybe a way to focus his attention, perhaps, or like you said, a way to externalize that gut feeling when doubt is loud.
So Santiago is now really at a crossroads. Sell the sheep, give it the familiar for this quest based on a dream and some stones from a mysterious king.
It's a huge moment. You can feel his internal struggle, the comfort of the known versus the sheer uncertainty of the unknown. He even thinks about his own father.
Oh, yeah. How so?
He remembers his father had also wanted to travel, but never did. And how his father gave him money for his first flock, almost like passing on a baton for a dream he couldn't follow himself.
That adds another layer. It's not just his dream anymore, in a way.
Right. And ultimately, he does it. He sells the sheep to Melchizedek.
What does that act really signify, do you think?
It's the point of no return, isn't it? He's actively chosen the path. He's traded security for possibility. It's a powerful commitment.
Before Melchizedek leaves, he tells Santiago a little story. The one about the wise man and the spoon with the drops of oil.
Yes, that's a good one.
What's the takeaway there for someone starting out like Santiago?
It's all about balance, isn't it? The wise man tells the visitor to look around the beautiful palace, but not to spill the oil on the spoon. The lesson is, you need to see the wonders of the world, experience the journey, but don't forget your purpose, your responsibility. The oil in the spoon. Don't get so lost in the marvels that you forget why you started.
That's crucial advice for any big undertaking. Don't lose sight of the goal amidst the distractions.
Precisely. Keep your eye on the prize, but don't miss the journey itself.
Okay, so the king leaves. Santiago's made his choice. He's got the stones. He's got some money from the sheep. And he heads off to Tangier in Africa. Feeling pretty hopeful.
Yeah, there's that initial buzz, right? He's remembering Melchizedek's words, the universe conspires. He's probably feeling like things are finally moving.
That optimism, Doesn't last too long, does it?
No, it hits a brick wall pretty fast.
Mhm.
In Tangier, he meets a young man who speaks Spanish, seems friendly, offers to help him buy camels.
Sounds promising.
And Santiago trusts him, thinks, see, the universe is helping, but then disaster.
What happens?
The young man distracts him in the market, and when Santiago looks back, the guy and all of Santiago's money is gone.
Oh, no. Completely cleaned out.
Yeah. Every last coin. It's a brutal welcome to this new land. Absolutely devastating. Talk about a setback. Suddenly he's stranded, penniless, can't speak the language. How does that kind of betrayal hit someone who's just taken a massive leap of faith?
It must just crush his spirit, make him question everything, the dream, Melchizedek, the universe conspiring, all of it. He feels like a fool.
He hits rock bottom there, just sitting alone in the marketplace, despairing. But then, even in that darkness, he remembers something.
What's that?
He still has the stones, Urim and Thummim.
Ah, the king's gift. They weren't stolen.
No, they're still there. A tangible link back to that promise, that guidance. What's the significance of him still having those, do you think?
It's like a lifeline, maybe. A reminder that not everything is lost. And he tries to use them, right?
He does. He asks if the king's blessing is still with him, and he gets a yes, but then he asks if he'll find his treasure, and the stones just fall through a hole in his pouch onto the ground.
What do you make of that? Not exactly a clear answer.
Maybe it's a sign that he can't just rely on the stones for all the answers, that some things he has to figure out himself. Melchizedek did say he needed to learn to recognize the omens on his own.
Right, make his own decisions. And that seems to shift something in him, doesn't it?
It really does. He kind of pulls himself together. He decides not to see himself as a victim, but as an adventurer facing a challenge. He reframes the whole situation. Instead of, I've been robbed, it's more like, okay, this is part of the adventure.
That's a huge mental shift.
It is. And that change in perspective opens his eyes. He notices a crystal shop, sees the merchant, and decides to offer to clean the glassware in exchange for food.
So from despair to action. And his initial goal there is just get back home.
Yeah, just earn enough money to buy some sheep and go back to Spain, back to the familiar life. But his time at the crystal shop ends up being much more than just a waste stop.
How so? What happens there?
Well, he doesn't just clean. He starts having ideas. He suggests building a display case outside to attract more customers.
Resourceful.
Very. And later, he suggests selling tea in the crystal glasses, which becomes a huge success. He's not just earning money. He's learning, adapting, making a real difference to the merchant's business.
And he learns from the merchant too, right? About his dream.
Yes, the merchant always dreamed of going to Mecca, making the pilgrimage, but he never did. He got comfortable running his shop, and now the idea of the dream is almost more important to him than actually doing it. He's afraid he'd have nothing left to dream about if he actually went.
Wow. That's a powerful counterpoint to Santiago's journey. A real cautionary tale about letting a dream just stay a dream.
Exactly. Santiago sees firsthand what happens when you choose comfort and fear over the pursuit. And while working there, he starts noticing things more, understanding people and situations without words, that language without words the book talks about. He gets better at spotting those omens Melchizedek mentioned.
So time passes a whole year, I think.
About that, yeah. And he makes good money, enough to go back and buy more sheep than he started with. He could easily go back to his old life, even better off.
But does he want to anymore?
That's the question. He's learned so much, he's comfortable. Maybe the original dream, the pyramids, feels distant now. It's another internal conflict. Stay with the new comfort or push on.
What makes him decide?
He remembers the king. He remembers Urim and Thummim. He feels that pull again, that sense that his personal legend is still waiting. And despite the comfort, despite the logic of going back, he chooses to continue the journey towards Egypt.
Incredible. So looking back at just these early stages, it's quite a roller coaster.
It really is. You have the initial catalyst, that persistent dream, then the mixed messages, the old woman's transactional advice, followed by the pivotal encounter with Melchizedek, who really defines the quest and gives him the tools, the framework of personal legends and omens.
But it's not smooth sailing. That immediate harsh setback in Tangier, the robbery, that tests him right away.
Absolutely. It shows that pursuing a dream isn't magically protected from hardship or betrayal. Obstacles are part of it. But crucially, it's how he responds. Finding that opportunity in the crystal shop, learning resilience.
Yeah, that time with the crystal merchant becomes unexpectedly vital. It's not just about earning money. It's about learning, observing, and seeing the alternative path, the path of the unfulfilled dream.
So these early chapters really lay out the core themes, don't they? The power of dreams, the idea that we each have a personal legend, the importance of signs or omens, and that maybe controversial idea that the universe somehow responds when we commit to our desires.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? For you listening. Consider those dreams that keep nudging you. Have you ever had a King of Salem moment? Someone whose words just shifted your perspective on what's possible?
Or maybe what omens or opportunities are around you right now that you might be dismissing. It really brings up that fundamental question Santiago faces, and maybe we all face. How do you balance that desire for comfort and security with the undeniable pull towards something more, towards your own personal legend? It's a constant navigation, isn't it?